I met Richard while I was in medical school, in naturopathic school. When I first started my practice, I think in the first month, I think I had 3 people walk into my office on crutches and leave without them. And and these were people who had been everywhere. You know, they'd had CT scans and they'd been to see orthopedic doctors and what have you. And no one else could really figure out what was wrong with them. And oftentimes that's where the matrix energetic stuff really shines.
I do have private clients that come in to see me specifically for matrix energetics work. Yes. A man came to me who had broken his finger the night before. He had slammed his hand in the car door and broke his ring finger. They took x-rays and the emergency room decided that they had to send him to a hand specialist because they couldn't help him. So he came to see me the day after, and his appointment was 36 hours after he had the injury. So he came to see me the next day, and we worked on his finger. The swelling went down almost immediately, and he had full range of motion within about 10 minutes. And he just kept sitting there looking at his hand, just going, wow, wow. So he kept his appointment with the hand specialist because his insurance plan would have charged him a copay if he didn't. And the specialist looked at his hand 36 hours after the injury and said, "Why are you here? There's nothing wrong with you." So they took another set of x-rays because they had in front of them a set of x-rays that showed a broken finger. They took another set of x-rays and there was no break. Anyone can learn how to do matrix energetics. It's very simple. My husband works in software, and he's one of the teachers for the seminars. So you don't have to be a healthcare practitioner to learn this work. My son, who's 11, has been through 2 seminars with us, and he is just as effective.
It really does transform how you actually can deal with people, how you can help them. And you can really help them much more than just deal with their aches and pains or increase their joint mobility. You can actually transform their lives.
I've helped assist in many of the workshops, and I've had the experience from all levels of people taking the class, and everyone gets it. And their responses are always fun and unique. From the chiropractor who went to me, "Why did I just spend all those thousands of dollars on school when I came and got this tool and it's so fast?" And to the homemaker who probably has the largest job of all of us, goes, "Wow, I used this in our frozen pipes and got them unfrozen in an hour." And you're thinking to yourself, how does that work? Well, it's so tremendous and transforming that our participants bring to us an evolution of even more things and concepts than we realize are out there. How has Matrix helped me personally as the massage therapist? In the beginning, when I first started my practice, I would go through stages where my hands would hurt a lot or my forearms would be burning and very sore. And now that I do Matrix, I have no hand pain, no arm pain. And I've been practicing 9 years, and I know that I have people that I went to school with who are not practicing because they've burned themselves out from overuse and misuse. But through Matrix and having that ability to get changes without you having to overuse your body, that is the key element for me as a massage therapist.
A friend of mine that's a chiropractor up here introduced me to it, and I came last April to my first seminar. And I've studied quantum physics and energy work and all the various modalities of chiropractic over the years, and it just sounded like something I really wanted to learn. And he said, you know, it's just wild, it expands your consciousness, it makes you grow, and it just gives you more toys to play with. And I said, wow, I want to do that. And so that's why I came the first time, and it was everything that he said it was going to be, plus some. I think it's a great transformational tool. And like I say, anybody can do it, anybody can learn it, and it can be applied in any aspect of your life.
She was in labor for about 8 hours, and the baby wasn't moving down, it wasn't preparing for birth, and they were going to prep to do a C-section. And so we had about 30 minutes, we knew, before the room would be ready for the C-section. And so I decided, well, why don't we try this? Who knows what will happen? And so I did a couple of 2-points with her uterus, and then I did a 2-point between the mother and the baby. And within 20 minutes, the baby had moved down, she'd fully dilated, the baby's head was engaged, and she was born 10 minutes after that. And it was amazing.
Well, I'll tell you what, anybody who's not taken a Matrix Energetics workshop, now that I've taken one, and I'm going to take level 1 and level 2, using the theories of quantum physics and science and spirituality, we can create our day at any given moment. We can create anything we want. So I think if anybody who's not taken Matrix Energetics really needs to learn, or at least investigate a little more, because what these two guys are doing, a saying that comes to mind, imagine and make it real. And that's, to me, that's what it's doing. Whatever you imagine, you're going to just make it real. On a personal level, working with it with my son, who's a 3.5-year-old. In fact, I walked in the door and Jaden, hey, Daddy, 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 you know, and I bent down, and just as he was running towards me, he smashed his head, like he smashed his forehead on this counter that we have set up. And literally, I wasn't sure. Now, in the past, you know, I'd always just kiss it better and everything would be fine, but he'd have a lump there or he'd have something there. Now, I'll tell you what, he hit his head so hard that his tears just burst out, and he was bawling his eyes out. I grabbed his forehead of what I've learned in Matrix Energetics. I saw him as I'm supposed to. I saw him not as a baby, but as Richard teaches in the workshop, and literally prevented the bump from even taking place. And Jaden actually fell backwards on the floor, and he looks at me, Daddy, let's do that again. The tears were gone, no bump, no sign of anything.
There's so many stories I have on Matrix Energetics. I started doing it back in February. But the most recent one, my son, who just turned 8, was running on the playground and ran head-on with another little boy. And they both got big, huge red marks on their heads. And the nurse called me from school and said that he wanted me to come up there. And so he had stopped crying, but when he saw me, he started crying again. And I asked him if he had done Matrix on it. And he started crying and said, I forgot. And so we did it, and within a matter of seconds, the bump was gone. It was still a little bit pink, but the bump just shrunk right back in.
Matrix Energetics has essentially transformed my medical practice. I don't use much of my traditional training anymore. It's just so much faster and so much more efficient, and it provides you with so many more useful tools than you would have otherwise. Even with having a background with homeopathy and nutritional medicine and counseling and other physical types of modalities, I mean, none of it even touched the results I've been getting with the Matrix work.